Welcome back to Sky Garden 2026, where every week we document exactly what can be grown in a productive balcony garden using nothing more than buckets, quality soil, consistent watering, and a little patience. Week 10 really feels like the garden has entered its peak production phase. Plants that were covered in flowers just a few weeks ago are now loaded with developing vegetables. Harvests are becoming more frequent, and every visit to the balcony reveals something new hiding beneath the leaves. This week we're harvesting fresh yellow beans, beautiful radishes, and another large bundle of green onions. We'll also take a closer look at the two mystery pepper plants that were supposed to be bell peppers, but turned out to be completely different varieties. One has proven to be surprisingly hot pepper, while the other appears to be producing sweet peppers with an unusual shape. The tomatoes continue to fill in, the peppers are becoming heavier each week, and the entire balcony has transformed into a wall of green. If you've been following along since the beginning of the season, you'll see just how much progress these container plants have made. Let's head into week 10 of the Sky Garden. Welcome back to Cooking with Rod 2026 Sky Garden Week 10. Things are coming along. This week we'll start down here as usual with our 5-year-old garlic chive plant. Been harvesting off of that pretty much every day. Then we have our, I think they're Cubanella peppers. They got a lot of peppers on there I'm gonna have to harvest. Holy smokes, a bit windy up here today. And then if you look way down in here, we got some teeny tiny little lettuce plants that I just planted a few days ago, and they're coming up already. Then next up, another Cubanella plant. Got some good sized peppers on there. And then we have the lettuce down in the bottom, which as you can see is stretching up like crazy because of the heat. So it's already bolting. So those are no good now. I'm gonna have to chop those down and wait for the new ones to come along. Then we have what we think are cowhorn peppers. They're there's a whole bunch in there, but I can't seem to find them right now. Oh, there's one. Right there. Then down in the bottom of that, we have some green onions, or bunching onions, or whatever people like to call them. Then next up, we have some more cowhorns. Whole bunch on there. Down in the bottom there, we have some green onions. Not sure what that guy is right there. I'll be plucking that out because that's not supposed to be there. These are getting quite tall for a pepper plant. Then we have our basil plant. I chopped about 8-10 inches off the top of that because it kept blowing over in the wind. So we fixed that problem. Then we have our scraggly little parsley plant. Gotta trim that, it'll bush out more if I do that. Now we have our sweet million cherry tomatoes. Look at the bunch of tomatoes on there. That is just a whack of tomatoes. Then we have more up here, more up here. Whole big vine over here. You can see that big long vine. I've eaten a couple of ripe ones off there just to test them out. They're very, very good. Some carrots in the bottom. They're going pretty slowly because they don't get a whole heck of a lot of light. They are almost up to the ceiling, as you can see there. All the way up there. So I'm gonna have to take the bucket out of the bottom of those to lower them down a little bit. Now, next up we have the beefsteak slicing tomatoes. There's a bunch of those on there. They're growing very slowly. They take a long time to get large. And next up we have another cherry tomato. Again, all kinds of little green tomatoes on there. There's a ripe one back there. All kinds. Again, all the way up to the ceiling. So by next week, I will be taking the buckets out. The tops of them don't really get much sun because they're in the shade. So those three are indeterminate tomatoes, so they will grow and grow and grow. And next up we have our Roma tomatoes. I've had a big problem with blossom end rot on these because I can't seem to keep enough water in the buckets. I'm watering 3 times a day now, and with this heat wave that we're having this week, it's going to be hard to keep up to it. Anyway, there's a bunch on there, a whole bunch down here, but it only gets about that tall compared to these guys way up there. So that's it for that. Next up we have our cucumbers, which has got a ton of flowers on it. Most of these bottom ones are male flowers. They come on the plant first. I had to trim off a whole bunch of wilted leaves just because they're getting old. When a leaf gets old, it kind of goes brown and withers up. So I took those off. Now all those male flowers down the bottom there. Somewhere here we have a flower. There we go, there's one right there with a little tiny cucumber on it. There's another one in the back there, but I don't think it got fertilized because it's turning brown. There was a really good one here somewhere I was looking at earlier. Oh, there it is. Right up there with a little tiny cucumber on it. So we'll see. They're growing way up onto the pigeon netting. So I'm going to try to bend those around so that they will follow along the top of the pigeon netting here. Next up we have another Roma, which has a bunch of small Roma tomatoes on it. There's a whole bunch down there. Big one right there. Again, the blossom end rot has really taken hold on those, so I'm trying to keep up on the watering. My last video, I kind of explained what blossom end rot is and what it does and how to prevent it. Now I just gotta squeeze by here. There's very little room to squeeze by. There we go. So next up, the third Roma. Again, a whole bunch of Roma tomatoes on there. Again, indeterminate, so they will only get so big. So I'm gonna try to force the cucumbers to go across the top of the netting here. Then we have our ghost peppers. We can find some of those. There's one down there, one right there. There's a few more on there. Then we have our Our radishes down in the bottom there, they're coming along pretty good. More radishes in the bottom of the jalapeno plant. You can see down there, they're ready to pick. Probably pick those tonight, put them in my salad. So jalapeno plant, there's a bunch of jalapenos on there. Whole bunch of little flowers that are starting to turn into jalapenos. This plant goes way up here, and the next jalapeno plant is here. Again, there's a little baby one, a few larger ones down here. Then last in this row is a bean plant way down here. I picked almost all the beans off of that, so as you can see, we're getting some new shoots. So I'll probably get another round of beans out of that. And let me just back up here against the back windows. We have some bunching onions. These are growing very slowly because they're not in the sun very much. They only get about 2-3 hours a day. Here's that pepper plant that I grew from seed and left it in the little 3-inch pot too long, so it's kind of stunted. And here's the tomato plant that I grew from seed. It's always getting in the way, so I've been kind of trying to push it out of the way. It's getting pretty tall too. Problem is, lots of flowers, very few tomatoes. Then next up we have way down here spinach plants. Now since we had that really bad heat, spinach is a cool weather crop, and it's been anything but cool, so it's starting to bolt. This one here, another spinach plant, also starting to bolt. Oh, excuse me. I was hoping to get through the whole video without coughing. Anyways, you can see the flowers starting on top of the spinach plant, so I don't think I'm gonna get any spinach from these guys. As soon as they start to bolt, the leaves get bitter, and you don't really want to eat bitter spinach now, do you? So that's it for Sky Garden week 10. Let me just get out of here. There we go, back to where we're supposed to be. So it goes from all the way down there all the way over to here. So there it is. Oh, and here's my watering station. I got tons of water out here. It will go through all 4 of these buckets in one day, so that's about 20 gallons of water every day. Anyway, that's it for Sky Garden week 10. I will be back in a second with some insights into the mystery peppers and the harvests for this week. We'll talk about that. And then thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. This week begins another look at our first mystery pepper. The plant has definitely surprised us. What was sold as a bell pepper has turned into a long, curved hot pepper with smooth, glossy skin and impressive size. The fruit continues getting larger every week, although the shape is unusual. The plant itself has been incredibly productive. It's a great reminder that mislabeled plants can still be some of the most interesting parts of the garden. Harvest day continues with small but beautiful collection of fresh vegetables. 2 crisp red radishes come out of the containers along with several tender yellow beans. The beans have remained incredibly productive despite the summer heat. and regular harvesting encourages even more flowers and pods to develop throughout the season. Green onions continue to perform exceptionally well in the bucket system. After trimming another generous bundle, plenty of healthy growth remains to provide future harvests. These have become one of the easiest crops in the entire garden and are harvested almost every week. Looking back at the hot mystery pepper, several large fruits are now hanging from the plant. Their long curved shape and thin walls make them very different from the bell peppers that were expected. While this variety wasn't what was purchased, it has become one of the standout plants in this year's garden. Our second mystery pepper is beginning to reveal its true identity as well. Unlike the first plant, this one is producing thick, blocky fruits that appear to be sweet. They aren't traditional bell peppers, but they have much more bell-like appearance and continue developing nicely beneath the canopy of leaves. The pepper plants overall have become dense with healthy foliage. Flowers continue opening while existing peppers steadily gain size, showing that the plants are still actively producing new fruit while maturing the current crop. The garden harvest this week may be modest, but it's exactly what makes container gardening so rewarding. Fresh beans, radishes, and green onions, picked only minutes before heading into the kitchen, deliver incredible flavor and simply can't be matched by store-bought produce. Stepping back for a wider view really shows how far the garden has come. The buckets are nearly hidden beneath thick foliage, tomatoes tower above their cages, peppers fill the middle layer, onions create a living mulch below, and nearly every container is packed with healthy growth. At this point in the season, maintenance becomes just as important as watering and fertilizing. Regular harvesting, removing damaged leaves, improving airflow, and continuing a consistent feeding schedule all help keep the plants healthy while supporting even more production. The tomatoes continue adding new fruit while earlier tomatoes steadily increase in size. Healthy foliage, strong stems, and continuous flowering suggests there are still many weeks of harvesting ahead before the season begins winding down. Every week the balcony looks a little less like a collection of buckets and a little more like a true urban vegetable garden. It's exciting to see just how productive a small growing space can become with careful planning and regular attention. That wraps up another productive week here in Sky Garden 2026. Week 10 delivered another enjoyable harvest, healthy plant growth, and even more progress from our two mystery peppers. While they aren't the bell peppers we expected, they've certainly made the season far more interesting, and it'll be exciting to see how they continue to mature over the coming weeks. The tomatoes are filling in, the peppers continue growing, beans are still producing, and the onions seem determined to provide an endless supply for the kitchen. The garden is entering that wonderful stage where every visit brings something ready to harvest. If you've been following the series from the beginning, thank you for joining me each week as we watch this balcony transform into a productive urban food garden. Hopefully these weekly updates inspire you to try growing a few vegetables of your own, no matter how small your available space may be. If you enjoyed this update, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to Cooking with Rod, and turn on notifications so you don't miss week 11. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week in the Sky Garden.